skill I've been working on lately is learning how to trust my inner voice more than the doubts of others. An issue that I've had before is putting full faith in the opinions of others, not necessarily being concerned with what they think of me, but more so if I trusted an individual for their perspective on an issue or whatever, I would put a lot of weight on their words or the advice that they gave me, even if it went against, by Pixie, what my instinct was telling me to do. I've really felt this with therapists, where I would feel like, oh, they're the professional, they know what they're talking about, so let me at least try to follow their advice. For instance, with Josie's first pediatrician, I had a bad vibe from her from the first visit, and I shared that with my therapist at the time, and I was explaining to her that there was just something that felt off, like I didn't really feel listened to or heard. And I was like, I can't really, it's one of those things where you had to be there. And then she kind of made me feel like it was just kind of in my head. She didn't say those words, but just when she was reacting to what I was saying, she just kind of had a look on her face like, that's it. And I went there 3 times, so 2 more times after that. And I kept saying, like, something just feels off. And after the 3rd time, I can't remember exactly what happened that made me feel like, okay, no. I want to say it was when I realized I know what it was. She kept emphasizing tummy time the first 2 times, and she was feeling her head, and she's like, one side is slightly flatter than the other. And I was saying, oh yeah, she prefers sleeping on that side. And she was like, oh, well, when she's sleeping, just turn her head. And I went back, and I was like, whenever I do that, she just turns her head back, or she gets upset, so I just let her stay laying on her preferred side, because I also looked it up and it said that's fine, basically. Like, I mean, you're gonna see different parenting things whenever you look it up, but it was just saying don't worry about it too much, especially if it's just slightly flat, like your baby will most likely grow out of that. And then all of a sudden her emphasizing tummy time wasn't brought up as much. And then I was bringing up other concerns, and she was just kind of looking at me like, okay. And then she would just say something. And another one was how long it's okay to let your baby cry for. And then I said I don't let her cry more than a couple minutes at a time. And then she would say, well, you can let her cry 20 to 30 minutes. And then I was like, okay, but I mean, I only do a couple minutes at a time, because more than that, it makes me uncomfortable. And she's like, oh, well, just don't let her cry for hours at a time. And it was just like, do you not hear me? Like, I just said I don't let her cry more than a couple minutes. Why are you bringing up not letting her cry for several hours? So anyways, I'm bringing that up just to say that I truly felt uncomfortable, and I felt like I wasn't being listened to. But when I was explaining this to my therapist, it kind of made me feel that way again, because I just felt like she was just dismissing what I was saying and just making me feel again like it was all in my head. And then I ended up going to a different pediatrician, because I was like, I need to feel like my concerns, especially when it comes to my baby's health, are being taken seriously, and I'm not being made to focus on things that I don't feel are as important, or when I look them up online, it doesn't match up to what she's saying. And even outside of that, if you're like, you should trust your doctor and all that, I don't think you should blindly trust your doctor. But I did trust her to an extent, to follow her advice. But the fact, again, that she went back on her own advice, in the sense that she wasn't emphasizing what she had just been emphasizing the last visit, and what she had been putting all her focus on, and kind of ignoring what I was saying. So all that to say, I switched pediatricians, and then when I told my therapist that, she was like, oh, okay, so maybe your last one was weird. Or like, I expressed, issues that I've had with my family, and it was kind of like she was nodding and listening, and like she was bringing things up for sure. Like she was very helpful, I'm gonna say that. But I felt like she was giving the benefit of the doubt. I guess I could have summarized the last whole thing with saying, like, I felt my therapist was giving the benefit of the doubt to the people I was talking about rather than to me, her client. Because with my family situation, she was just kind of like listening, but I didn't feel fully heard. And then I shared a text that I sent with them and their response. And then she was like, oh, they're actually like what you said. And then I was like, yeah. Like, wait, so you had doubts in what I was saying? And I didn't realize this at the time. So I didn't get to express that frustration with her. But my current therapist now, I think that's something I'll probably talk with her in my next session, that what I'm talking about in this video, that I need to work on. Just because someone has an opinion on what I'm saying, or just because someone is reacting to my words in a certain way, doesn't mean that I need to allow their voice overpower mine. Like, usually what ends up happening is the people who make me feel doubt in my words and my thoughts end up coming around and saying, oh, I see what you were saying then. And then I would get frustrated, like, I've been telling you this the whole time. What the hell? Like, now you want brownie points because you're listening to me now, or you agree with me now? Like, and then they'll say, why are you being upset with me? Why are you angry? Like, I'm on your side. And it's the point of, like, it's the fact that you took so long to get on my side. And not only that, but you made me feel, or tried to make me feel, that you were on my side this whole entire time, and you weren't. Like, you were pretending to be on my side, and you were having me compromise with you to see, like, okay, maybe I should try things your way, when I think that's wrong. Like, especially as a therapist, you should try to fully understand where your client is coming from. And then once you feel like you do, and if it takes asking clarifying questions or whatever, then offer up advice. But don't just hear something and quickly, without fully understanding, or fully understanding where they're coming from. And I feel like if a therapist, if you're like, I think I fully understand, no, it's not just do you think you fully understand. Does your client feel like you fully understand them? Because if your client doesn't feel that way, then obviously there's a disconnect somewhere. So, my last video I was talking about, like, so having tension in my throat, neck, shoulders, and chest. And I think a big source of this is what I'm describing now. Just learning to trust my instinct more, and trust that I know my intentions and how I analyze situations, and I know I try to do it as objectively as possible. I'm very emotional. I should say I'm an emotional person. I talked about this with my therapist yesterday, that there's like the emotional side and the rational side of like personalities, and ideally you could have a blend of both. And the emotional side is, like, we use words to describe the two. Actually, let me pull up the sheet. So my therapist drew this up. I don't know if you can see it, but it's the emotional side and the rational side. Okay, so here's this, the emotional side and the rational side. The emotional side, on each side there are positive and negatives. So the emotional side can be fun and impulsive and living spontaneously, but it could also be not looking at things through the objective truth. If you just follow how you feel at any given moment to drive your decisions, then are going to kind of be chaotic and all over the place, especially if you experience a lot of emotions like I do. And it can lead you to be unorganized, or like a big thing was, this side is people focused. So if someone wants to hang out, you're more likely to put aside tasks that you want to do. Like, oh, I need to finish laundry, but someone asked me to have lunch with them. The laundry will get done later. And then you look around and then all of a sudden you don't have clean clothes, whatever. But then the rational side is more task focused. So maybe like climbing the corporate ladder and really driven to complete task focused. But that side can be seen kind of more boring and calm just because it's less likely to steer away from whatever you have organized and scheduled. Like, let's go with the flow. But then the middle would be a good balance of the two. Like, you know how to have fun, you can go with the punches, but you still have a sense of structure and organization. But anyways, I said all that to say that I've been wanting help with getting towards the middle, but I feel like sometimes, oftentimes, when I've tried to get other people's perspective on things, so like that, I can be nudged towards that middle ground that I shared. I've kind of felt like I've been pushed to the rational side, which I don't want to live fully on that side. That's not me as a person. It goes against my intuition. So I don't want to fully change who I am as a person. I just want to be a better version of who I already am. And I feel by working on that, to go along with my last video, is really going to help me, again, get rid of the tension lingering in my neck, shoulders, and chest. And through this, I hope and I have full confidence that I will be able to access my full potential when it comes to my singing. So with all that said, please share with me in the comment advice that you have for learning how to trust your inner voice.